2 doors, rear-wheel drive, manual gearbox. It is a combination that is becoming increasingly hard to come by in today's new car market, even less so for under $40,000. But that is exactly what the new Subaru BRZ is all about. Yes, this little hero car has returned for a second installment, offering more power, more torque, and more technology to match. Let's take a closer look. 10 years on from the launch of the original Toyota 86 and Subaru BRZ partnership, the duo returns in 2022 for a highly awaited second installment. While the 86 isn't due to reach showrooms until the second half, the first 500 pre-sold BRZs will touch down in the second quarter, with another shipment promised before year's end. Pricing for the BRZ has stuck closely to the predecessor's $40,000 entry mark, despite a new design, larger 18-inch alloy wheels, dual-zone climate control, larger 8-inch touchscreen, new digital instrument cluster, and a suite of new safety. Automatic versions add a $3,800 premium, while the flagship BRZ Coupe S brings seats wrapped in ultra-suede leather-accented trim with seat warmers up front. For its second generation, the BRZ retains a naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine, but displacement has grown to 2.4 litres, while power and torque have grown by as much as 18 kilowatts and 38 newton meters respectively. The 6-speed manual has been strengthened and now offers smoother shifts, while the 6-speed automatic transmission has been tweaked and includes a revised sport mode. An updated chassis teams with suspension changes including increased use of aluminium components, revised spring and damper rates, increased sway bar thickness, and new mounting locations. The overall height of the BRZ is now 10mm lower, and the rear track has been widened 10mm. For me, it is the manual BRZ that stands out the most. A, because you can get it for under $40,000 before all the on-road costs and add-ons, but B, I really do think it channels everything that was great about the original BRZ. A really visceral car, back to basics, great engine, great rear-wheel drive feeling, and of course, a 6-speed manual transmission. What's not to love about that? For 2022, the BRZ recipe has certainly been refined without taking it away from the blueprint that was really great about BRZ Take 1. The new 2.4 litre engine still feels a little agricultural by today's powertrain standards, with plenty of noise and not a whole lot of fireworks. But work it correctly and maintain your corner speed, and it rewards with plenty of pace and predictable linear power down, thanks in part to a mechanical LSD. We spent most time in the manual BRZ and found its shifts to be cleaner and smoother than before, with an excellent spread of ratios. The engine, for me, there's a lot more immediacy, a lot more enthusiasm. It doesn't really rely on the gearbox as much to get through to, that really nice sort of middling revs. Instead, you can sort of be a gear higher, put your foot down, and there is sort of a whiff of almost like a turbocharged engine there, just in terms of riding that torque wave. It doesn't have the explosiveness of a turbocharged engine, but just in terms of that immediacy, that initial torque, just makes a lot more enthusiasm and a lot more willingness than the BRZ evolved. We've been lucky enough today to do some back-to-back exercises with the original BRZ, and that's where the power and torque increases are most noticeable. As I said before, low to middling revs, it certainly musters a lot more enthusiasm, and then higher in the dial as well. There is much more urgency with this latest drivetrain. For me, it doesn't quite have that same visceral induction noise as the original. Still has that kind of agricultural bent and character to it, but probably not quite as noisy inside the cabin as before, even with the fitment of some speakers that pipe sound into the cabin. But all in all, still harnesses everything that was great about that original, but with some modifications as well. That wider rear track, the rubber that's been fitted to the new model, the Pilot Sport rubber, is much better than that old eco-centric Michelin Primacy rubber that was fitted to the original BRZ. So naturally you get a little bit more grip, a little bit more confidence in this new car, and it's all the better for it. The new BRZ ushers in new technology while virtually maintaining the same curb weight as its predecessor, at a nippy 1,250 kilograms in manual trim. Accurate and well-weighted steering, excellent front to rear balance, and a taut body have all carried through to the second gen model. Rear-wheel drive, it is one of the great talking points of the Subaru BRZ, and thankfully in its second generation, there's just more good news. I feel like the changes that Subaru have made have polished the formula, but without taking away from that really raw, organic rear-wheel drive ethos. If you're lucky enough to experience this car on a closed circuit, you can turn everything off as we did this morning. It really does cultivate confidence. You've got a lot of great feedback from the chassis, almost as if you can feel what the car is going to do directly as it happens. You can almost be a step ahead of the curve in greasy surfaces, so you don't have any off-road excursions. Great feeling from the steering, from the chassis, from the brakes. Everything has been really nicely honed with this latest generation model. It's still a really nice neutral car when you want it to be, but it can be really positive with its rear drive biased as well. You can really start to get the most out of the chassis and kind of turn on some angles that you might not have expected to do so in a $40,000 car. So much fun, and I feel like it finally has the amount of power to match the chassis. I know a lot of people bang on about the fact they'd like to see a turbocharged BRZ. To be honest, I feel like this is a great amount of power. The engine is no longer languid in those middling to lower RPM reaches. It just seems to muster a lot more enthusiasm and give you exactly the right amount of power when you want it. As ever, there is a sporty bent to the BRZ, and that means you do have to put up with a jiggly ride, especially at low speed, and lots of cabin noise entering the cabin over coarse chip surfaces, over bumps. There is a lot happening inside the cabin, but it's a small price to pay for what is still a really organic feeling, undiluted sports car experience. And to be able to get this still for under $40,000 feels special. It's great to be in a car that has a character and has a manual gearbox. The BRZ scores a much needed infotainment and technology overhaul inside, with a digital instrument display and an 8-inch touchscreen with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto and digital radio. The design of the interior takes an evolutionary step forward. On the topic of safety, the updated BRZ scores strongly against our key requisites, but with a pretty significant caveat. Manual variants miss out altogether on many important features, including AEB, because they cannot be fitted with Subaru's EyeSight suite. 7 airbags, blind spot monitoring, lane change assist, and many other important features are shared across both variants. Elsewhere, the BRZ offers strong ownership prospects, including 12-month, 15,000 kilometre servicing intervals, a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty, 12-month roadside assist program, and the option of cap price servicing. A full-size spare is also standard, squeezed in underneath its 201-litre boot space. With its competitive purchase price, excellent rear drive dynamics, and newfound tech suite, it means the BRZ has all the makings of success in second generation form. For many, the biggest obstacle could be getting their hands on one, with stock limitations likely for the foreseeable future.